This episode is brought to you by Essentia. A better you starts with better hydration. Essentia is on a mission to inspire people to do what matters most. Their proprietary ionization process transforms water from any source into ionized alkaline water, providing water that's 99.9% pure with a pH of 9.5 or higher. Essentia overachieving H2O, the #1 ionized alkaline water. Shop now.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for All-Star Season 8, Episode 9, titled Carson Kressley, This Is Your Gay Life. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one eloquent co-host from the podcast, from Bloody Podcast. Please say...
Oh, twirl, bitch!
To Miss Lauri Roggenkamp. Hello, Lauri.
Hello.
I gotta tell you, I genuinely... okay, so everyone should know Taylor the Latte Boy couldn't be here today because... and we'll explain this in a bit, but because of all the construction going on in my house and he's on the East Coast, we couldn't get times to work that worked. And so, like, Lauri was going to join us anyway, but now it's just me and Lauri because we're doing it at a time that's not convenient for Taylor. But I don't know why I legitimately thought this. I thought Lauri's Aunt Kathy was going to also be a co-host. So I pulled a clip 0 for her. Do you want to hear it, Lauri?
Great. Yeah, let's play it.
I have no panties.
Everyone who listens to the public feed, Lauri's aunt doesn't like to wear panties.
She doesn't like to wear underwear to bed, and Joe makes it seem like it's something crazy.
Well, you're not giving, if you're not listening to Untucked, you're only getting half the story. That's not the whole story.
Also, Star doesn't like to wear underwear to bed.
Yeah, but Star's your fiance. People don't know is there was when Lauri, I don't know if it was when she first moved in with her aunt.
Yeah, it was,
that was
roughly
for something,
about
when you first moved in, the room that Lauri was going to sleep in wasn't ready or something. And so she had to share a bed with her aunt, and her aunt was trying to convince her to take her panties off the way she did.
She never tried to convince me. She was just justifying why she was doing it.
And she was sleeping in a bed with her niece with no panties on.
You're making it sexual. It's not sexual.
Anyway, so everyone listening, public feed especially, also Patreon, there is major drama going on in this house. And if you actually want to hear about it, join at the executive level or above. But because of that, we're actually staying in a hotel, but I've come back to the house despite all the dust, despite all the debris. I've exposed myself to carcinogenic chemicals just so I can bring you a great show. And but you're good.
Carcinogenic.
Carcinogenic. We are going to, but you're going to hear possibly, we'll see how the audio comes out. Fans, I have to keep my window open because it's also very hot here. We can't run the air conditioner. Oh, it's a whole drama. Anyway.
Does it kind of remind you of that time you recorded a Bloody Podcast episode with us?
Oh my, you know what? That's a very good point. Like, except no, even I'm all, oh, you know what? It's going to be too hot. My comfort is more important. Let me open the window. I did Lauri asked me to do an episode. It's the one with Sonia the Golden Hand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It was this like Russian thief, female thief. And
if you want to hear it, look for
Bloody Podcast.
Bloody Podcast, Sonia the Golden Hand. And we were at Lauri's co-host's apartment, and it was boiling hot that day. And they would not open a window for the audio quality, as if they're doing This American Life in this apartment. It was very, very difficult. I was dying, sweating like a pig. I think, did I comment on it during the episode, or did I stay quiet about it?
Did you? No, you were so demure. We were like, Joe, we didn't even realize there was an issue. Of course you commented. It was like the only thing you could talk about.
It was so hot in there.
What was crazy is we did have windows open. We just couldn't turn the fan back on. We had the windows open, but it was still
Lauri,
too hot.
Look, this is, the biggest podcast in the history of podcasts. I have a fan on. I have 2 fans going. I have a window open. People are playing music outside. I don't know if that's going to get picked up. Anyway, so I'm going to need your support more than ever. Go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia and join to get this show early. No commercials. You get all kinds of, there's a ton of content right now. I don't know what's going on. It's so funny. I couldn't be crazier, and we have more content than ever. All right. This week, the queens get together to roast Judge Carson Kressley on the main stage. The category is Snow Bunny. Later, Jimbo was named the top all-star of the week, with all 3 of the remaining queens up for elimination. On the main stage, Jimbo faced lip-sync assassin Silky Nutmeg Ganache, and in a surprising twist, Jimbo won the lip-sync and the right to send someone home. After a dramatic pause, Jimbo revealed the name on her lipstick, Alexis Michelle. Lauri, share your thoughts on that lip sync, and do you think the right person went home?
Yes. And also, I feel like the lip sync itself was humorous. And look, Silky, I feel like she is a good lip syncer, but she's not necessarily the funniest person, even though she likes to think that she is. And so, yeah, I feel like Jimbo won the lip sync, and I'm glad that Alexis Michelle went home, because I found her insufferable during this episode.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I would actually talk... Okay, well, let me give my answer, then I'll talk about this a little bit. I thought the lip sync was fantastic. I love a crazy, unhinged lip sync. Jimbo has done this character before. I think Jimbo should probably just do this character every lip sync. It seems to bring out a side of her that lets her have fun and not be as stiff with a lip sync.
Yeah.
Of course, it turns any lip sync into chaos, you know?
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, that's kind of what this show needs. It's so stale. Well, not the show. The format of this show is so stale that something like this, at least once, we got it now. She probably should have done it earlier, is what I'm saying. Is so refreshing. But she did it, and she won, and rightly so. Also, yeah, they were talking about Silky Nutmeg Ganache. I was like, oh, now this is a true lip sync assassin. Before this All-Stars appearance, she was everyone knew she was a horrible. In fact, the big joke is, there was an Untucked episode where she was really upset, and she goes, and if I need to, she started taking her clothes off and like throwing it on the floor. If I need to lip sync for my motherfucking life, I will. And then she went out there, and it was awful.
It was bad.
It was awful. That was the joke, and she was so bad.
I was going to say, I think that was the reason when she went through that gauntlet, that was why everybody was so surprised, was because she had originally just done so poorly, and then she was actually doing well.
But I have to remember the gauntlet. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I have to watch that gauntlet again with new eyes. But I wouldn't know if I would call her necessarily a lip sync. I guess technically speaking, she is. But I don't know.
She's definitely not up there. I'm trying to think of the only person for some reason I can think of is Trinity the Tuck Taylor. I don't think she would win against her. She's not. But I think that she has her own comedic niche for lip sync that I think can make her unique, especially if you pit her against somebody who does maybe a more serious or dancey lip sync. But when you go up against somebody else who's kind of chaotic and comedic and isn't afraid to and also, I mean, not to be sizist, but also can do more things than she can do, then, of course. I as soon as they started, I was like, Jimbo's gonna win.
Yeah, this is an outfit just throwing baloney all over the place.
Yeah.
So what I was going to talk about earlier was Alexis Michelle has sort of really. It's the weirdest redemption I've ever seen. I was talking about it yesterday. I think I've talked about this in the show. And we might as well talk about it since she's gone. Is that on her original season 9, she behaved exactly the same way. And everyone hated her, but maybe the way the edit was, or we didn't know her as well, or we didn't see that side. It seemed like it was intentional and calculated, and she's being evil. And in this All-Star season, we've gotten to know a different side of her, and we've started to realize, I don't think she's aware of this. And I think she's genuinely a nice person who causes chaos and is not aware that she's causing chaos, and is just sort of this agent of chaos, but in like an innocent way.
Yeah.
So like now, because she's so weird and dramatic and gay, people are loving her, and I'm one of those people now. I've seen the light of what this is, and now even whatever awful thing she does, I don't find it insufferable. I find it like endearing because it's like, oh, she's like a child doing something. But you have a different take.
No, I mean, she even says in the thing, she had told LaLaurie, I'm not going to forget that, intimating that she was going to help save her, right? And then she votes LaLaurie off. And then when they ask her about it, she goes, oh, I meant that I would never I meant that I just wouldn't forget about it. And I won't. And it's like, what the, like you know what that would mean to somebody in a competition. And you specifically said those words. And then you're now claiming that you meant something completely different.
Well, I think you're highlighting. It reminds me of a thing that I've always talked about in terms of a Venn diagram of who gay men find attractive and who women find attractive, like straight women, straight cisgendered women. And there is this Venn diagram where there are people that gay men are attracted to that a straight woman would never be attracted to. Probably most twinks fall in that category, right?
Yeah. And
then there are men that there's no gay man that finds that man attractive, Like, I remember this is an old one, so Robert would say that he should be forgotten. But like, I remember when I was a kid, there were some teachers at my grade school who just thought Sean Connery was like the sexiest motherfucker ever. Right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, there's no gay man that finds Sean Connery hot. Maybe there are. Maybe I'll hear about it in messages and whatnot. But I think the vast majority of gay men, he's out of their Venn diagram. Same thing probably with like maybe like a Harrison Ford. I don't know. You never hear gay men going like, oh my God, Harrison Ford.
Maybe a young Harrison Ford, but I don't know about
maybe, yeah.
Now. Well, what about like Gwen Stefani's husband? I forgot his name.
Oh,
Blake
the
Shelton.
country singer?
Yeah, Blake Shelton.
Yeah, maybe he's in that. I don't hear it, but maybe there are because times are changing. But like, you never hear about Blake Shelton, and then you mentioned somebody else. Right? I thought of somebody. Oh, like, are gay men really into Ryan Gosling as much as women are?
Who was Ryan Gosling again? Was that the one who was married to
La La Land?
Oh! I would probably say so. I'm sure there's probably a lot of Ryan Gosling.
I never hear gay men talking about how hot Ryan Gosling is. I feel it's a women thing,
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Maybe I'll be corrected.
Can I tell you that I don't really get Ryan Gosling? Like, I don't get why he's popular. It seems to me like all he does is just he just stares at people, and then everyone's like, he's such a good actor. And so I don't get it.
There are some stars that there's a defining character that people fall in love with. And I think with Ryan Gosling, I think a lot of women fell in love with that character from The Notebook.
That, and then also Drive. That was a big one, too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. After La La's, anyway, to finish my point, I think Alexis falls in that where, like, this is a drag queen or personality that gay guys fall in love with and get behind. But, like, anyone outside of that is like, no, she's a horrible human being. But we're like, we love her, Like,
yeah. Well, I will say, yeah, gay men do tend to love problematic people.
Yes, we do.
And I maybe lesbians also in that category, but
yeah, who would be a lesbian that I just wouldn't get? I'll be honest with you. Tig Notaro, I don't really get. I had a straight friend write to me and go like, what? Why do people love Tig Notaro?
Sometimes
like,
I don't get it. So, it's just it. No,
well, this goes back to my whole. There are these people that Hollywood decides. I mean, Hollywood is a collective idea. That not the city of Hollywood. I'm wondering if I need the city council meeting on it and everything.
They had a count, yeah. Guys, but like we have to. In the budget requires us to find who is attractive for gay men and lesbians. Yeah, we have to do it.
But like the Hollywood is a collective idea. They have these certain darlings that they're like, oh yes, this is one of those people. And sometimes, by the way, they agree with the public.
Yeah.
Right? But there are these darlings that they're like, oh, and I feel like Tig Notaro is that person. Not that people dislike her, but they've really tried to make her a thing, like a big thing, and it just never lands with the general public.
I don't actually know if I find her attractive, but I do find her very funny. So
I don't even find her that funny.
Oh, have you ever heard her Cancer album that she did?
I know that was the famous one. I haven't heard it, but maybe I should.
It was good. It was good. I liked it. But I mean, even more than that is her stuff where she, actually like, she's also really good live. I feel like she's
she is.
Yeah,
that could be. There are some comedians I've talked about this who they weren't that famous, but they were like masters of their craft in the room on the stage. Like, God, I've seen Robert Schimmel a few times in person, and just he's dead now, but so fucking funny.
Really?
Like, if you wanted to watch a master comedian just hold a room in his hand and just control them, like Robert Schimmel was but was never super famous, ever.
Yeah.
Was just a working comic.
You know who I didn't find funny when they were a lesbian was Elliot Page. Not funny, sorry, attractive.
But you find him attractive as a man?
No, what I thought was so funny was not funny, haha, but like I remember when people when he came out as a lesbian, I was like, they're like a little boy. Like they look like a little like I was like I don't find them attractive. So when he said, "Oh, I'm trans," I was like, this is like literally a straight shot. Like I go, this makes total sense. This is the one that I've seen that I was like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, because you look like a little boy. So now that they're Elliot Page, I mean, I'm happy that they're living their truth, and I still don't find them attractive, but I mean, it's who gives a shit. But it's like I was just everyone was fawning over them when they were a lesbian. I was just like, no, they look like a little boy. So
Lauri gave me Elliot Page's number.
I did. I sent you a copy of Page Boy for your birthday.
After Lala's elimination, we learned the vote was unanimous for Lala to go home, and the girls discuss Alexis's apparent betrayal of La Ree. The next day, RuPaul enters the workroom to announce this week's Maxi Challenge. It's the roast of Carson Kressley. In the workroom, Alexis, as the winner of last week's challenge, determined the lineup. Candy doesn't know what an equestrian is. Finally, Jimbo plans to roast Carson as Joan Rivers. Lauri, I'm not going to say nothing happened. I got some criticism last week on the Discord by somebody, I won't say who, Tom Bombs, who said that he didn't really... Let me actually pull it up. Do you think I should pull it up and read it? The feedback?
No, I don't think you should. I don't think it's not that important.
Yeah, and by the way, I think people were afraid. There was a little bit of a skirt of everyone in the Discord where they were like, but I wasn't offended. I think I like when people give me fair criticism. He was fair, constructive criticism, but he was just like, why weren't there songs? Well, that part, I don't know about that, but like, why weren't there songs or something to make up for the fact that there was... Yeah. The problem with that is I would have to know in advance that nothing's going to happen. I didn't know that was going to happen. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm going to write a song right now? Anyway. So a lot of things happened, Lauri. So let's talk about, did you have any ideas or notes of anything that happened right there?
Can they just stop when it's a majority of voting, but one is for the other person? Can they just stop deconstructing that one vote? Like, we all know it's because La Ree voted for Candy. Or not Candy, sorry.
Well, was there a big discussion about this? I don't remember that.
Yeah, they literally were like, so what I assume is that this vote was for La Ree voted against, I forgot who was in the bottom. But it
was Candy.
Oh, it was Candy. Okay. So I was like, La Ree voted against Candy. So I'm just, and then everyone was like, yeah, that makes sense. And it's just like, no shit. Like, we really need to take the time to be like, I'm pretty sure that this is and I mean, it's just like, it's so stupid. So, have we gotten to the actual line? My question is, have we gotten to the actual lineup yet? Or are we just getting to the, like,
we can talk, but before we talk about the lineup, the actual just lineup, so do you feel, I mean, we talked about this at length last week, but there's been a lot that's happened since, and Alexis over-explaining in different ways. But do you feel Alexis, I get the hint that you think she did, but do you think she betrayed La Ree?
Yes. She betrayed Lala. She told her specifically, I will never, intimating that this, and then she chose her. And also, like, the thing that I think is so, here's another reason why I think Alexis Michelle is terrible. Okay. I think she's trying to faux manufacture these, relationships so people will ship her and this other person. But then she'll turn around and do shitty things to that person. So it's like, I don't think you actually truly like them. I think you're just pretending that you might like them.
Like, it's performative.
Yeah, like she did that with Candy in this episode. And so I feel like she did that with Lala. She's like, no, I just meant that I will never forget. And it was just like, that's so fucking stupid.
I guess this goes back to the conversation we just had when we were talking about Hollywood as a collective idea, pushing people forward that we don't understand why. And what I don't, because, you know, we can't forget that not only did Alexis vote for Lala to go home, or choose Lala to go home, but the girls unanimously voted for Lala to go home. And my question is like, speaking of, what is this hold that Candy has over the girls? I don't think she's particularly likable from what we've seen. She truly has fucked up in the competition. It does feel, we'll hear it in the roast today, like she's being pushed by production to be liked because they know she's going to go far. And so I don't see, to me, it's apart from the promises, it's an open and shut case to send Candy home. So like we were talking about, okay, well, who knows what's up with Alexis, but why are the other girls, Jessica and Jimbo, well, Jimbo has that alliance with her, but why did Jessica choose to keep Candy over Lala Reed? What do you think's going on there?
I think it's like a personality. I think she's just such a big personality that I think that they're just drawn to her. That's
Do I have a personality like Candy Muse?
No. I would say that I'm trying to think of a drag queen that you do have a personality.
Mistress Isabel Brooks?
No, you're not that insufferable.
Oh, you didn't like Mistress Isabel Brooks? She was very popular.
I didn't like her. I mean, overall, I thought she was very funny unless there was a comedy competition. And then she just didn't do very well. But
Bianca?
Yeah, I would say Bianca Del Rio. You kind of remind me a lot. Yeah, you remind me a lot. And also, to be honest with you, a little bit of Jinx Monsoon.
Oh, how so?
I feel like Jinx Monsoon just sort of like, I don't know if you watched her comedy special, but she'll just like say or do like, crazy things, and then we'll work backwards and try and justify what she said. And it's kind of funny to watch.
How was her comedy special? I haven't watched it.
It was okay. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be, but it was good. I mean, I bought it, so if you want to watch it, you can go on my Amazon. But
all right, Lauri, you want to talk about the lineup? Tell me about the lineup.
So I just want to talk about Alexis's pick of the lineup right now.
Yeah, which let me just repeat for everybody. It was Alexis, Jessica, Candy, and Jimbo.
Yeah.
She sure does have to go first. Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, do you think that Alexis just flat out doesn't understand why the lineup is important? Or do you think that she genuinely thought, oh, because there's a small number of people, I'll put myself first and that will make me be remembered better than everyone else?
I want to hear your thinking on this because I might have a different viewpoint than you do.
I feel like Alex, as soon as she said, I'm going first, I thought she's going home. She's definitely going home. Because in my opinion, that was the dumbest thing that she could have done, is putting herself first. I mean, in reality, any other order, except a first or last, I feel like. So she had put herself second or third, I think she would have been fine. Because as we'll see later on, even though when she's doing the test run, it doesn't go well, she does have some funny-ish stuff in the actual roast, right? She has some funny-ish stuff. So I feel like if she had put herself second or third, she would have been safe. And then Candy or Jessica might have been in the bottom or, going home.
So I have a different point of view, but I'm willing to concede that everything, because my point of view is from an actual comic making a lineup of actual comics. And so there could be this thing, and I'm totally open to this, that idea gets thrown out the window when it's all, lay people, amateurs, because I was going to say that this is the logic in a bunch of comics doing a roast is if you're setting the lineup and you're on the lineup, that you do set yourself up first in a roast because you're going to get first crack at all the good jokes because the number of topics is limited to those people in the room, And so you're going to get first crack at all the jokes. However, in a weird kind of way, because Alexis was not good, I agree with you. She probably should have buried herself more because all it did was highlight how she didn't hit those jokes.
Yeah.
And made her look worse.
And also, I will say that when you're dealing with, even though it's similar jokes, I feel like the queens are adapt enough to be like, oh, what are you doing? Like your jokes might be similar to mine, so I'm going to switch it or, something like that. And since it's such a similar style, they're doing essentially one-liners, all of them, that, you don't want to be the first one because the first person sets the tone and the first person does all the hard work.
Yeah, true.
So the first person, no matter what, is not going to be legitimately, unless you put Jimbo first, I don't see, because I thought Jimbo did a fantastic job, and we can go over it. But unless you put Jimbo first, I don't see a realm in which anybody who's first doesn't end up in the bottom. I think
you got to put Candy first.
Yeah, you could put Candy first.
Even though I wasn't a big fan, I wasn't a super big fan of her set. It was the next strongest after Jimbo.
Yeah.
And then if I were Alexis, I would have probably gone after Candy and then brought in Jessica and then Jimbo.
See, I would have done that I would have put what I would have done was probably I was thinking Jessica first, but okay. I would have put maybe either Jessica or Candy. I can, you can make an argument for that. And then I probably would have gone third.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But this is all coming if I were Alexis. And now, being honest, if I were to do the joke, I put myself last, right? But in this lineup, in other words, if one of the girls wasn't there and I was there, if Becca DeBupa was there, Becca DeBupa would go last.
Yeah.
So, all right, so Lauri.
Becca DeBupa.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read the workshop as a plot line.
Okay.
And we can talk about it. But like I told you earlier, I've put the workshop jokes, not the feedback, but the jokes with the jokes in the row so we can compare them. So let's talk about the actual jokes that we saw during that. But if you want to talk about like Michelle and Alec Mapa or whatever,
okay,
we can do that. All right. On the main stage, the girls workshop their jokes with Michelle Visage and Alec Mapa. Jessica needs to get meaner. Candy needs to articulate. Alexis needs to cut the stories. And Jimbo needs to make her jokes punchier. It's elimination day and the girls get ready for the challenge. Meanwhile, Katya pays a visit to give advice, but gives chaos instead. All right. Any thoughts on these workshops on elimination day? What do you think, Lauri?
So in the beginning, when I saw, Michelle Visage, my first thought was, why the hell do they keep having her be somebody?
Comedy genius, yeah. Michelle Visage, yeah.
But I will say that I thought she gave good advice. I thought she gave good advice. I honestly felt like Alec Mapa didn't necessarily need to be there. He wasn't really...
I felt the opposite. I thought Alec Mapa had good vocabulary and good advice. How funny.
I felt like Michelle Visage was saying basically the same things as Alec Mapa, and then Alec Mapa would come in and add to it, but it wasn't anything that was too... Look, I think Alec Mapa is very funny, but again, I still feel like they need to have somebody on there who's a roaster. Roasting is such a specific...
They need to bring on Lisa Lampanelli or something.
Lampanelli. I mean, hell, even Nikki Glaser. Like roasting is such a specific writing in a specific way that just telling, like, look, again, I thought Michelle Visage overall gave good advice, and I thought Alec Mapa, was fine, right? But they both don't know how to construct a joke that it was so generic. I mean, be meaner. What does that even mean?
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give it a little sneak peek here. And this is one of the reasons why I put the workshop with the actual jokes. This is a conspiracy theory, and I know people think we have a lot of conspiracy theories. I'm 90% sure they brought in someone to help them punch up the jokes.
Oh,
there's no way you go from that to what they did.
No. Or, in my opinion, I had a reverse thought, but I could see that they had a writer, that they wrote those jokes, and then we're like, you need to come up with something like that's really like beginner level. But I could see that with Alexis Michelle, because Alexis Michelle was like, I know how to tell jokes, and then told this like very corny, like, I forgot.
Oh, yeah, about the elephant and the green had blue legs, and then
what do you get when what do you get when
why did the elephant have 3 blue legs and 1 green leg?
And then it was like, oh, blue and yellow make green. And I gotta this happens a lot in this episode, and I feel like this should just be a blanket statement. If you have to explain the joke, it makes it infinitely less funny. It kills the joke.
Get it. It's not gonna.
Also,
the most you're going to get is a groan.
Why did Alec Mapa and Michelle Visage have folders? Like, what were they writing? Why did they have, like, business folders with, like, notepads?
They have to turn in reports, Lori. This is a real business, and they have to turn in reports.
They all had, like, they came in and they all had folders, and I was like, I don't see you guys writing anything down. I don't see anything being put in those folders. Like, I was just like, why do they have folders? It was just me.
When Lori, and that Michelle wears glasses, so she's serious.
Yeah, oh, yeah. That's what I love. Yeah. But, yeah.
Any thoughts on the Elimination Day or anything?
I don't know. I just felt like I felt like they brought Katya in, and then I thought there was going to be a big payoff. I thought they were going to have like we'll come to it, but at the very end of the roast, they go, oh, we have one other person. And I thought, oh, Katya's going to come out and she's going to do a roast about all the stuff that she learned from the thing. And it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. It never pays off. It's never brought up again. And the only funny outcome from that whole entire thing was I think it was Jessica Wilde when Katya was crawling. She goes, "That's the most well-dressed cockroach I've ever seen." I thought that was genuinely funny. So I was like, all right, that's the funniest part of that whole thing.
This seems to be the theme of today's episode or actually this season, is Hollywood gets in their head something that they want to force on us. I've said this in season 7. I think Katya is a fascinating reality show character and drag queen on the show, in terms of, like, in other words, when and I know that there's numbers and data that, she's very popular and stuff like that, but I don't think she's particularly funny. One of the finales I went to, I believe it was season 8, she and Trixie hosted the pre-show, and they bombed so fucking hard. And I think because Katya is funny as a character, they think, well, then she must be funny as a host or a comedian.
Yeah.
And that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And I think she's just funny because she says random shit in this character, Katya. But she's not a particularly funny person. So I think even she was like, I think you can see it. Because someone said she didn't even tell us about comedy. She just asked personal questions. I think because she probably even felt uncomfortable giving advice on comedy.
Yeah. And also, I could also see a thing where she had like an idea, right? But then it never was really fleshed out. And then they just were like, well, this is what we got. So they just edited, they edited what they had. And then they were like, all right, let's go. So I could see that even being a possibility. But yeah, it was just sort of like, it was a nothing burger. It was just like, there was really no point to it. So, yeah.
All right, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, we are going to dive right into the roast.
On June 14th, your favorite emotions are back on the big screen in Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2.
It's time to greet your Team Riley. It's anger.
Let me at him.
Fear.
Safety checklist is complete.
Disgust. Ew. Sadness is in the house.
Oh no.
Hello, I'm anxiety. I'm one of Riley's new emotions.
Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2.
There's a part 2? We're going!
Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
One size fits all seemed like a good idea for clothes.
Nice dress. It's a t-shirt.
Until you tried it on. Same goes for your healthcare. That's why United Healthcare offers a variety of flexible, budget-friendly coverage for medical, vision, dental, and more. So whether you're between jobs, coming off a parent's plan, or even missed open enrollment, you can find the plan that fits you best. Find out more about United Healthcare coverage at uh1.com. That's uh1.com.
Welcome to the Flash Finds podcast, the world's fastest podcast where we explore how Facebook can help you with the stuff you're into. I'm your host, Emma Rogue, and today I'm with creator and home decor guru, Julie Souza. Julie, what's your number one tip?
So if you're into home decor, I would suggest looking into Buy Nothing Facebook groups. It's a great way to explore your style, all for free.
Ooh, we love free stuff. Thanks, Julie. See you next time on the Flash Finds podcast, all about discovering the stuff on Facebook you care about. Bye.
We are back. We are going to discuss the roast in detail. I've taken each girl, separated their bits. In other words, it's all individual files, and I've paired it with their workshop. Lauri and I, as comedy experts, are going to analyze both their, almost like we're Michelle Visage and Alec Mapa in the beginning, what advice we would have given them, and then we'll see what happens. And the other reason I point out, I wanted to use as evidence that they hired someone to come punch up their jokes. And it helped to varying degrees. All right, let's start first. The first one was last week's winner. She placed herself first in the lineup. Is Alexis Michelle. Like I said, the first thing we're going to hear is her workshop jokes with Alex Mapa and Michelle Visage, and we'll stop here and there, and then we're going to talk about her bit. Here we go.
You know, growing up, I think that every little girl wishes for nothing more in the world than a pony. And Carson was no different.
You know, so this is only 30 seconds. These little workshops are only. Why don't we go the full 30 seconds on this?
How lucky you were to be born into a family of equestrians. Those are people who ride horses, and learn to ride you did. But we are so glad that you're a fixture here at Drag Race, and love you and your passion for breeding horses and for being bred by whores. Mwah.
Yay!
Okay, so I think Michelle Visage nailed this. Really, I'm going to give her flowers. When she said it was like a bridesmaid speech, like a wedding speech.
Yes. Yeah, it was like a very uncomfortable wedding speech. Also, I will say this, even though I feel like the roast is infinitely better in when she does it, she still has this thing where she thinks that facts are jokes, are punchlines.
Yes.
Like she still has this thing where she thinks that if she says, they showed the clip of her earlier where they were like, her last roast where she's like, Rue, I'm wearing your favorite color. And that's it. That was the whole thing. And it's like, it's not a punchline. Like just because you're wearing green or you're wearing something,
Everyone, hold on for a second. Everyone at home, I know it's Michelle Visage. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, it's Michelle Visage. Oh, okay.
Yeah, everyone gets, Laura, people, Drag Race, speaking of facts, Drag Race fans like their facts. Like their facts.
Well, so then.
It's Michelle Visage hates the color green, and so that was the joke she was making. But go ahead.
So you brought me on as a chaos agent because the one thing I struggle with is facts. So yeah, facts are not punchlines. You're not, and that's what this is all was, is Michelle, or Alexis Michelle was just stating facts.
We've seen this before, Lauri and I, because when you live in LA, there's a lot of actors here who decide to go into comedy. And they often, because they come from an acting background, they try and turn their that's when you can always spot the actors. They try and turn it into like a one-man show or a monologue. And so they don't write jokes. It sounds like this. They write these monologues that they go on stage and they recite like a speech.
Yeah, and there are some comedians who get away with telling stories. But like I would say Sebastian Maniscalco, he's probably a well-known comedian who he doesn't necessarily tell set up punchline, he tells stories, right? But that's different. When you're doing a very specific, when you're doing a roast is basically one-liners, and a one-liner is mostly a setup and the punchline is a misdirection, right? So that's pretty much what, and a misdirection is like, so if I were to be like, I don't know, I can't think of a one-liner right now, but the misdirection is like something you don't see coming from the setup, right? And that's where an additional humor comes from. What Alexis Michelle is doing is she's doing a setup and then just stating a fact about that setup. So she's like, you came from a family of equestrians and you love to ride horses. That's
and ride you did.
And ride you did. And that's it. That's all, So.
And yeah, so all right. Well, now we're gonna go right to her actual set. We'll stop every 30 seconds. They're actually, because there's only 4 of them. They did a roast. Their sets they usually used to do like a minute to minute and a half. These are like 2 minutes plus.
That's one of the things that I thought was great was that they didn't go too long. They weren't really long sets.
All right, so now we're actually going to her actual set. Notice, and this is proof, Alexis was really struggling, didn't have actual constructed jokes. Now all of a sudden she has, they may not be funny, but jokes. Here we go.
And welcome to the roast of Carson Kressley. I'm thrilled to be here tonight in this fantastic top 4.
I still think there are too many words so far, but yeah. Especially when you're first, get to the fucking joke.
When you're roasting or when you're first, she should have had a punchline there. That was my first note, is that there should have been a punchline there.
Yeah. Like a roast really is, this is really strange. I don't even think you can do this in stand-up. You can just like cut out words and not have roast sentences, right? Like, yeah. Like that's how short it has to be.
Yeah, because it's almost like in improv they talk about if you give a gift, right? If I ever say, "Hey Joe, here's a box," I have to say what's in the box because the audience is going to be like, "What's in the box? What's in the box?" And their imagination is greater than whatever we could think of. And so that's the same thing with these is that the audience is thinking, okay, what's the rub? What's the misdirection? What's the punchline? So the longer you go, the more they're going to be like, oh, this is going to be good. And then it's just always deflating.
Very good point.
Jimbo, you are so amazing. And those tits, the only thing bigger than those tits are your ears.
Which is a weird joke to make because her wig is covering up her ears. And everyone's like, are her ears big?
Yeah. Also, this is where we get into this thing where so I have a little bit of sympathy for Alexis Michelle. Not much, but a little bit, where I feel like this is how I do roasts because I am not a good roast. I am not good at roasts. And I feel like my jokes are just like, you look terrible and you are going to die soon. Like that's where I always go to.
Strangely, also your things you say when you're driving, when you say to people when you're driving.
Yeah, I roast people all the time when I'm driving. And so it's always, my roasts are always just like, I hope you die in a fire. But no, I legitimately I'm not good at this. And so, I know that I'm talking about it from a standpoint of quote unquote expertise, but just know that if I were to do a roast, I know full well I would be Alexis Michelle.
Well, what I'm telling you right now is she called the ears. Let me let this play out. Let me see if she goes to another joke. Hold on, before I criticize her.
The only thing bigger than those is Candy's ego.
Okay. I probably would have put a joke, I think what we were looking for is some sort of act out. Actually, you're not going to see it's a visual thing that we'll see when Jimbo does. Jimbo does a similar joke and then does an act out with her face that's really funny that hits the point home.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what that joke could have been funny if, even as simple, if you guys aren't going to see this because video, I'm basically going to put my palms behind my ears and make a funny face. But if she was like, even if she just did that, it would have elevated the joke better. But then just saying like, and you have big ears anyway, and then go on to this next joke.
Also, I think if you're gonna start making fun of people's face, and this is just a personal opinion, you don't have to do this, but if you're gonna start making fun of people's personal appearances, then you have to do something self-deprecating in the beginning.
Yes, 100%.
To even the playing field.
Yes. Yeah. Hold on.
No, but Candy, you should probably stay here at Drag Race forever because you have a face that only our mom RuPaul could love.
Is that a joke?
No, and also remember she literally went on and on about how she thinks Candy's such a beautiful person in the beginning. And look, I know that this is a quote unquote joke, but this just goes to my larger point that she's faking these quote unquote these faux romances where she's like, I'm so into Candy, I think she's so beautiful, and then now she like totally throws her under the bus. And
it's weird. I agree with you and don't agree with you. And what I mean is that like you have to say things, and you've talked about this before, you have to say things that are true or the jokes aren't funny. So for instance, how would she stay on Drag Race forever? Like probably the better setup for that would have been, we know why you were cast on All Stars this season or something like that, right? But like, how would you stay on Drag Race forever as a contestant? It doesn't make any sense.
The crux of the joke isn't what she meant was like, you need to be in the good graces of RuPaul forever. Like you need to be in the RuPaul family forever, because if you try and branch out and do your own thing, nobody's going to give a shit.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's get back to this bit here.
Jessica, I love you so much, but you know what would be the biggest escandalo? If you won this competition!
I guess.
How would that be? She's in the running. She's in the competition.
Yeah, and then also she's in the top 4.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is like, it's just the joke is clearly that she's like, if you think about the joke, it's just that she said a word in Spanish.
It's also like slightly racist.
Is the joke funny? And I know it's exactly what it is, because is the joke funny in English?
No.
Jessica's here. You know what would be the biggest scandal if you actually won this competition? Well,
yeah,
I could see if Jessica had a joke, like let's say her tagline was she was always saying escándalo, right? Then you're like, okay, well, you always say that, so you know what would be a real escándalo is if you won. Okay, I get the joke.
Yeah,
but if Jessica's not known for saying escándalo, it's just that she speaks Spanish. I don't know. It made no sense.
It made no sense.
All right, what would be the joke there? I would do something like, like Alexis, we know you love that drink. You know what you don't love is fashion. I don't know. I'm just making this joke off the top of my head, but something in that vein. But I don't know. Here we go.
Well, the only way to do that joke is to sort of be racist. I mean, that, like, essentially be like, what would be the biggest scandalo if you could pronounce scandal? Like,
you know what? Yes, that would be the joke, kind of in that vein. Yes, 100%.
Visage, ravishing as always.
Thank you.
Okay, so now she said in her head, we've seen these in rows. They call you. Okay, we're complimenting you because something very bad is coming right now.
Yeah.
Let's see what it is.
Beard cover's working great.
So this joke comes up quite a lot, I'm like,
makes no sense.
I've never seen Michelle Visage have hair on her face or a beard or a mustache.
I think
where does this joke come from?
This joke made no sense that I started going ethereal with it, and I started thinking, does she mean that Michelle Visage is RuPaul's beard? And so
no,
that's why
because this joke comes up quite a bit. Is that like, I guess that she's a man and has facial hair?
Yeah, well, that I mean, that is, I feel like is just that's what they always joke about.
I don't even think Michelle Visage is particularly manly.
No, she's not.
I think she's actually very feminine.
She's very and also one of the things I find so funny is why would she just shave her beard? Like, why does she have to wear a beard cover? Like, why would she just shave her? So that to me was just so. I was like, kudos to Michelle Visage for not just being a freaking just playing along and not just being like, no, that joke made no sense.
All right, here we go.
honor, Carson Kressley.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're getting to the person of honor. Here we go.
Sit down. Sit down.
Now, Carson is from Pennsylvania, where people travel across state lines to buy illegal fireworks. And
is this something we all know? I mean, okay, well, let's go with this. All right, here we go.
And yet, Carson, you are still the biggest flamer to leave the state.
I would say that is probably his best joke.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a well-structured joke. I don't know if it's particularly funny, but it's
no. I don't think it's...
But that's what I'm saying. But
that is his best joke.
Well, but I think that joke in particular proves that they had a comic work with them and say you can't write jokes for them. You can only help them structure their jokes. Because I can't see a comic actually writing that joke, but I could see comics saying, well, if you wanted to turn that joke into a joke, here's what you would do.
Which is, to me, crazy because it's like, why didn't we see that? Why didn't we see a actual joke writer sitting with them?
Well, because they want you to think that they wrote them, which they did. But because some of the jokes, and we'll have other examples in a second.
Carson, you first entered our hearts on Queer Eye. Then you hosted How to Look Good Naked, which you don't.
Which, I mean, this is where you get into like a real nitpicky comedy stuff. Is like, he's doing a rule of 3, so why are you doing a joke at the 2?
Yeah, it was okay, but I feel like it sacrificed his later punchline for...
You're right. It took the air out.
Yeah.
Then you hosted Rap Battle. Girl, these credits, you don't have to say yes to everything.
That, I feel like, was canned laughter because there was, like, nothing funny about that, Like, you don't have to say that, and that's such a typical... Now we get into cruise ship jokes where it's such a typical joke where you're like, Joe, you don't have to say yes to everything for Patreon.
And I think you keep one or the other, which you don't, or you keep you don't have to say yes to everything. Because Rap Battle, for sure, just the way, now we're getting like really nerdy things, just the way the words are and everything like that should probably have been in the middle. So I would have been, you did Queer Eye, you did Rap Battle, you did How to Look Good Naked, which you don't. But girl, you don't have to say yes to everything. I guess it's a way you could have done it.
That would have been good because it would have been a tag. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then the laugh would have died and you could have said, but you don't have to say yes to everything. Yeah.
Which I feel like that's kind of what she did anyway. It was sort of like an I can't think of the word, but like Anticlimactic tag, basically.
Yeah. Because it got buried with the words in the middle. Because she had to say rap battle.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. She could have even kept it that way and just not put in rap battle. Even though I know there's not a rule of 3, she'd already did the joke and it hit.
Her setup is part of the rule of 3. So she said, you've done so many shows, and then she could have just listed, So, yeah.
An accomplished author with titles like, Does This Book Make My Butt Look Big? Honey, nothing could make that flat ass look big. Thank you, everybody.
I mean, I guess.
You've been an amazing audience.
So, I will say this. She did end on an upper. She ended on a strong joke. So, good for her for that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. In another roast season or whatever, not this was a particularly strong one, but with a bunch of, there's only a few, she would have been in the solid middle. It wasn't terrible.
She didn't start off with a joke, but she ended on a high note. So I would say that overall, I think she gets like a D+, C-.
I think I would give her a C.
A solid C.
A solid C. They were structured, blah, 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 blah. Clearly a comic worked on her. There's no way you take that first thing we heard and turn it into that by yourself.
Yeah.
So, all right. Here we go. Now we're going to hear Jessica's. And we're going to hear Jessica's thing all the way through her workshop, and then we'll talk, and then we'll go into the analysis.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Good evening. It's an honor for me to be at this amazing Carson Kressley roast because he literally looks like a roasted chicken.
Wait, I want to stop right here and say this. This was a running theme on this episode, and Jimbo in particular where they kept talking about roast in terms of food, and we're like, yeah, we get it. We all know that this is also a food thing. You're not.
But see, here's the thing that I had to keep reminding myself. These are non-comedians. These are non-roasting comedians doing a roast for other non-roasting comedians.
Yeah, true.
You know, so it's like it even though like I think we're gonna get into the weeds a little bit just because we like to break stuff down, like because we, you know, I think we have to keep in mind. I mean, honestly, it's like if you were to do a dance battle and the judges were people who don't. Judges were us, people who don't dance. Like if we saw somebody doing like a little bit of pop and lock, we'd be like, oh, that's great. You know, like, good for you for doing that. And the other dancers would probably be like, oh my God, this is pathetic. You know, so.
100%. All right.
Behind that stiff face, there's a big smile full of charisma. He have a lot of uniqueness. He proved that he have a lot of nerves and big balls when he decided to participate in Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Last but most important, he make us believe that he have talent.
Okay, so
we see the beginning of that joke, which I think is a good idea to take that, you know, that saying and use it as part of the joke. But it's just not. It's not full. There's no punch to it, as they note in the actual, you know, workroom.
So, yes, in the workshop they do note that, and so she's the first one we're seeing. I don't remember Candy as much. She's definitely the first one we see. Like, okay, the raw jokes are there.
Yes.
So the comic who worked with them in my conspiracy theory just had to basically write them for her or help her write them into a proper format. But the raw material is there.
Yeah.
You know, she just didn't have the right structure. Okay, so let's take a listen here to the actual set.
Hello, beautiful people. And Michelle Visage.
Okay, you see, that's what we're talking about. Hello, beautiful people, and Michelle Visage. Not super funny, but it gets to it.
It gets to it, and it's also like that's the kind of stuff that this audience likes, you know?
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah.
100%. All right, here we go.
It's an honor for me to be here at this amazing Carson Kressley roast because he already looked like a roasted chicken.
Strangely, it works better in this environment, but yeah. I mean,
well,
still super obvious, but
again,
yeah.
I think another thing, she's got that Sofia Vergara thing where another component to Jessica Wilde, and, you know, I mean, I feel like it is slightly racist, but, you know, use what you got, is the fact that she isn't pronouncing, is like over enunciating and is struggling with pronouncing, you know, her words, and so they eat that shit up. They love that. So and this sounds so simple, K sounds are funny, right? So when she says she looks like a roasted chicken, you know, like it's like, oh, she's saying that. She's not saying it correctly. So it's, you know,
100%.
I want to start with a thank you. Thank you, RuPaul, for opening the doors to gentlemen like this to follow their dreams.
You know, it's just an old-timey drag roast joke that these are just men in wigs. But again, you're right. Maybe it is the accent and the not saying it right, the Sofia Vergara-ness of it all, that makes it funnier.
Yeah, that's, I mean, RuPaul loves that stuff.
She loves it. She eats that shit up. Yeah.
Can I get a naming up in here? Hallelujah! But now, Carson Kressley. Carson is a multifaceted artist. Or that's what he thinks he is.
And that joke doesn't even make any sense, but it's funny. I don't think it's funny, but I'm just saying, like, the joke hits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she said multifaceted artist, you know, yeah.
And then she, you know, but that's what she, and then everyone's like, yeah, he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Carson is a television host, actor, writer, producer, and this is the funniest one, a dancer.
See, this is the kind of stuff that Alexis Michelle did the same thing, but because she doesn't have an accent, it's not funny.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is also, you can see the fingerprints of a comic on this. Like, Jessica didn't know how to set this joke up like this before.
No.
You know? And to use the visual of the picture and everything like that.
And I will say this, to Jessica's credit, she is doing a good job of, she understands why people are laughing, you know? So she's doing a good job of being patient. And something we'll see that Candy struggles with is being patient and methodical and just making sure that she's getting her words out very clearly.
Okay, here we go.
He is also in love with horses. Mm-hmm. And I am not talking about your face, Alexis Michelle.
And here's another one where, like, again, I think I'm really going with your theory on this. Candy later makes not a similar joke, but makes goes a little deep on someone, and for some reason the audience doesn't go with her, but with the accent, it makes it like, she just called her a fucking horse face.
Well, and then with Candy, also, I think one of the things is because her accent is kind of very bullish. It's like a very New York style accent. You know, it sounds very abrasive. So I feel like, that harmed her to go because it compounds it. It makes it that much more dramatic. Whereas, you know, this is just like the girl who can't speak English is saying that I'm ugly.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The name of his pony, it was Sparky's. I think Carson...
Nobody even knows what she just said right now. I think what she said, the name of his pony was Sparky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carson's drag name should be Sparky's Visage.
Yes!
I don't even know what this joke means.
In honor of his two favorite animals.
So, I mean, just to deconstruct it in the way that I think, he thinks that, Carson thinks that, it should be Sparky Visage after his two favorite animals, calling Michelle Visage an animal. So it's after his horse Sparky and then his other horse, or animal.
I don't think that works.
Michelle Visage.
What would be the joke there? How would you fix that joke?
I mean, if you wanted to go with the same vein, you would just change animal to pet after his two favorite pets. I agree.
His two favorite pets.
The
problem is that joke works better if it's RuPaul though. But RuPaul's not a big horse fan, you know.
Well, it's Carson, though. That's the thing.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Because is Michelle Visage Carson's pet?
Well, Carson can't say that RuPaul is. He can't say RuPaul is Carson's pet. He could say maybe Michelle Visage or who's that other guy that I can't remember his name. Ross. So he could say Ross, but Ross isn't there, so it But I mean, it really it doesn't make that much sense.
I'll bet you the joke. This is me guessing here because that joke doesn't make any sense as written. I bet you the joke, he should call the horse Sparky Visage because they both have a horse face, or something about how Michelle has a horse face.
Yes. Well, I was going to say that is that after his two favorite, but he already said the horse thing about Alexis Michelle.
And I feel like that's probably like a rule. You can't call Michelle. You can say she has a beard and she's a man, but she doesn't want to be called a horse face or ugly or something.
Oh, you think that?
Yeah,
they put the kibosh on that.
You got to rewrite that joke, and he was just like, whatever. Okay, then she's an animal.
Which
like, okay.
You know what? To be fair, I will say this. I kind of see that. I could see myself, and I know that roasting you should just be able to go, but I could see myself where I would be like, like I just don't want any, like I have a line. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. And in fact, and this is to tip my hand a little bit, I don't think it was fair for them to show it or for Jimbo to go after Melissa Rivers, because Melissa Rivers wasn't fucking there.
Yeah. Although I personally don't like Melissa Rivers, so I wasn't.
That's fine, but she wasn't there.
But she wasn't there, and also she wasn't like I just imagine like they mentioned you on RuPaul's Drag Race, and she's like, oh, cool. And then she looks at it, she's like, what?
She's like, oh god, yeah.
Jesus. So I could see that, but that kind of was a little. Yeah, I didn't like that. I felt like they could have said something about Michelle. But to be honest with you, you could do that conspiracy where maybe she said the same thing she was going to say it about Michelle Visage, and they were like, no, she doesn't want to be associated with horses.
You know what? You're right. You could be right.
I don't know what the hell is Carson doing here as a judge, because he should be here as a contestant. Behind that stiff face, he's full of charisma. He have uniqueness because no one wants to look like him.
That's my favorite joke that she says.
That's a good joke, yeah. But why did the charisma? Because his face is full of stiffness. What does that mean?
I think it's like one of those things where it's like, despite the fact that his face is stiff, he's got charisma. He's not showing it, but he's got it. So that joke doesn't make much sense.
He have the nerves to participate in Dancing with the Stars.
See, again, you see a comic's thumbprints on this.
And last, he had the talent to make us believe that he have talent.
That was a good one, too.
That's a good joke and a good one to end on, too.
And also, I feel like you could, going to your conspiracy theory, Jessica Wilde said it in the workroom, and it was a totally different bit.
Yeah, this was cleaned up,
and then this was so I would find it hard to think that she would be able to write that on her own. So I think I'm leaning more towards your conspiracy theory.
Love you so much, Carson. I never wash any of your stuff, but as soon as I get out of here, I'm still not washing it.
Can I also share a conspiracy theory that I have?
Yeah, sure.
I think RuPaul has a laugh double.
Why?
I think RuPaul has somebody that laughs, like in the audience that laughs. I think she will laugh, but I don't think she's laughing as much as they're intimating that she's laughing.
Oh, I think that she's forcing it. Like, in fact, you know what? Speaking of RuPaul forcing it, so Candy's gonna go. I'm gonna tell you right now. It's not that Candy's is awful, but the overselling on the laughs is really apparent. We'll see if we hear it or not. But again, like I said, we're going to hear a little bit of her workshop stuff, 30 seconds, and then we will go right into her set. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. And Michelle Visage. Michelle.
Which we just heard that joke, but okay.
Michelle, you are truly the greatest.
That she does. She's the first one to do that in the workroom.
Yeah,
she
but
does.
This joke makes no sense. Okay, his joke is like, hello, beautiful people. And Michelle Visage, right? Hello, everyone. And is Michelle Visage not a person?
No, she's a horrid beast.
Yeah. So, there we go.
Act to come out of New Jersey. After Whitney Houston and Laura Hill and Queen Latifah and Teresa Giudice.
So,
here's my thing. I think now that I think your conspiracy theory is true, I think Candy specifically wrote these jokes just for the workroom. Because I don't think she really uses any of them, does she? Like,
no,
this one she doesn't bring back.
For her. This one doesn't come back, no.
You played Teresa Giudice before me, Candy? All right.
The only thing that cries more than Alexis Michelle is Ginger Minch at the buffet when the crab legs are done.
Okay, I don't think this joke makes it, but this is not a bad joke, but not written correctly. You want the punch to be on crab legs.
This is a thing where I feel like that harms, and one of the things that I'm just I don't understand about Candy in this is that I feel like she understands what she, out of everybody, right, understands what is needed to write a roast joke, right? And so to me, I feel like either a producer or somebody put her up to the task of saying these very long, very intricate setups and punchlines to where I feel like if Candy had her way, they would be short and sweet. Like just the way that she talks and the way that she, is, I just can't imagine that this is how she thinks that a setup should go. Because it just, to me, she looks exhausted when she's talking. She's like, I gotta get through this.
Yeah, hold on. Let me see this room. Oh, no, here we go. Okay, let me see here. It doesn't really let me. Farrago doesn't really let me. Let me go here. Here we go. Let me see.
Crab legs are done.
Hold on, let me see if I can go like a little bit. I want to do how it really. I think how I would have written the joke.
Alexis Michelle is Ginger Minch at the buffet when the crab legs are done.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. There's a lot of rewording that needs to go here. If I was working with them, I would say
Teresa Giudice. Teresa Giudice before me, Candy. All right.
The only thing that cries more than Alexis Michelle is Ginger Minch at the buffet when the crab legs are done.
Okay, so I would be like, Alexis Michelle is here. Alexis Michelle cries a lot. You have to have that set up. But does she love to cry, right? The only thing that cries, the only person that cries more than Alexis Michelle is Ginger Minch when they run out of crab legs. The crab leg, it has to end on crab legs.
Yeah.
You can't
also
say when the crab legs are done.
Yeah, give yourself those breaks. Like, give yourself those times to catch your breath.
Yes, to breathe. You're right, 100%.
Make sure we hear that.
Carson, you and I have so much in common. I love ketamine. You're how do you say that word?
Okay, this comes up later. The joke is backwards. So it was backwards then. How come the comic didn't fix this? The I love ketamine is the punchline. The equestrian's the setup. Does that make sense? So
yeah. No. And also you want to end on the K sound.
Yes, you're right. That's a good point too. Is Carson and I have a lot in common. Carson an equestrian. I love ketamine. Boom. Done. Short and sweet. It's backwards. Because the ketamine's a joke. You're right. Because of the K sound.
Yeah.
And that's the surprise.
I legit think that they didn't want Candy to win. Because I feel like if you look at her jokes, she has probably the best written jokes, in my opinion.
Let's see here. I got to compare.
And I don't think they wanted her to win.
Also, I probably would have gone a rule of 3 to really hit that joke. So I would have been like, you're gay, I'm gay. You love drag. I'm just making this up on the spot. You love drag, I love drag. You're an equestrian, I love ketamine. Kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, Lauri doesn't agree, but she's afraid. Why are you afraid to say this, Lauri? Are you afraid of me?
No, sorry. Star was talking to me.
Star's having a conversation with you during the show?
Yes.
Let's quit here.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Jessica. We understood every single word you said.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it's a good joke.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's
a good
opener.
joke, and it's quick, right to the point. Boom. Start with a joke. All right, great.
From up north, we have Miss Jimbo. Jimbo's breastplate is so big that when she turned to the side, bitch, she created a capital P. All titties, no ass, bitch, no ass.
That was okay. And I like that she didn't act out.
Yeah, she didn't act out. Not for me, but okay.
I will say, though, Jimbo, your drag does look very expensive. But by the looks of those lip syncs, clearly money can't buy you talent.
Oh, she said lip syncs. When I first heard that, she said lips. Oh, okay. So for the look, yeah, that, and then she's swallowing her words, so that's when it doesn't land.
I thought she said lipsticks when I first heard it.
You know what? Yeah, so I think she's thinking it doesn't land because of the joke. It's actually not landing because they're not understanding what she said.
They're not understanding lip syncs. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying is that it's like almost like she intentionally is giving herself more than biting off more than she can chew, which doesn't make sense.
What's so funny, this wouldn't have been in the character of Joan Rivers, so I don't think Jimbo could have done this, but like if it was a different drag queen, you could have followed up and just basically said what Candy said. Thank you, Candy. I understood everything you said. You know?
Yeah.
And that would have been a good joke.
Just to reiterate, it was lip sync. Lip sync.
Ooh, it's a rose, but it's a rose. And of course, we have the.
What's funny, I just want to hit this now, is because it's not edited that way on the Joan Rivers thing, but That's where the Joan Rivers like, oh, grow up, was when she would hit a joke like that and the audience would groan. She would tell them to grow up, you know? That was her go-to when the audience wouldn't go with her on a joke. She'd be like, oh, grow up, do the jokes, grow up, you know?
Yeah.
So, all right, here we go.
Broadway diva Miss Alexis Michelle. The only thing that cries more than Alexis Michelle is Ginger Minch at the buffet when the crab legs are finished.
Oh. Yeah, you had to end on crab legs.
Now, of course, our amazing panel of judges. Michelle Visage. Yes. She is so talented. I hope that one day I get to recognize one of her many hit songs.
It's just been done before, but fine. No
but also, it can't be a hit song and you not recognize it as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of hit song, hey, RuPaul. Mother Ru, do I love you. You know, she is like your grandfather that you know is going to die real soon.
See, the problem here is that she's already done a roast where she's talking about how RuPaul's going to die and she's old. And that joke's been done already, and she's done it. So it's like, well, we've been done doing this, bitch.
It's almost like she did a callback to a previous show.
Yeah.
But the bitch is a great actress, I will tell you that. She is such a good actor that she can sit up here weekly and still find something nice to say about Alexis Michelle. Now on to the queen of the night, Miss Carson Kressley.
So you're saying that this set is better than Jimbo's?
Well, now that I'm hearing it, I don't know, when I first listened to it, I thought she had better jokes for some reason. But now that I'm hearing it with a critical eye or critical ear, because I hear out of my eyes, yeah, I do feel like she hits too hard with Alexis Michelle.
Yeah, I don't know why Alexis Michelle's getting it. Yeah.
What else? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the jokes are a little, but again, I feel like to me it seems like she wrote these all her own. The other ones I would make a point to say that somebody helped. I don't think she got any help.
Yeah, here we go.
You know, you and I have a lot more in common than you think. I love ketamine. You're an equestrian.
See, RuPaul's oversigned. That joke's not that good. It's backwards.
Now, I must ask the room a question, and you have to answer me honestly, okay?
Okay.
How many of you in here knew that Carson was an author? No, bitch, neither did I. That's the thing.
That's not a joke. How many of you knew that? Wait,
the joke isn't. So this is one of those things that I feel like this is where I feel like she not runs into an issue, but the joke wasn't. This is going to be such a weird explanation. The joke wasn't what she said. The joke was how she said it. So the joke wasn't how many, I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many people you knew that he was an author? The fact that she then immediately followed it up with, no, neither did I, was the joke. Because it was like, everyone agrees that she wasn't an author. So it's like she didn't even give you time to answer the question because the universal answer is no. You didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Which doesn't make sense because she is an author. Like, it's like you can't have, like you were saying, it has to be based in truth. You can't have two truths. She can't be a best-selling author and you not know that you.
How is it you don't know something a joke? I mean, I get the joke is that she was an author, knowing about the book, and so no one knows. But just like, how is that a joke? Did you know she was an author? I didn't.
Yeah.
That's not a joke.
That's not a joke. And also, I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, it's not.
Let me just wrap this up.
I didn't know either. That's been my roast. If you loved it, thank you. If you
don't, any drag queen listening to this, if you go on RuPaul's Drag Race, do not put the joke, if you like this, blank, if you didn't, blank.
Also, there's, we keep talking about how it's important to start off with a joke, but it doubly so. Even more importantly, it's important to end on a joke. For example, I will tell you this. Even though I didn't think Alexis Michelle did a very good job because she ended on a joke, I still feel like she did a better job than Candy.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Didn't kiss my motherfucking ass, bitch.
Like that, how is that fun?
I don't
See,
know.
now, what's so funny is I legit went into this thinking that Candy did it really well, and now I'm like, how was any of what she said funny?
All right, here we go. Here's Jimbo's Joan Rivers. First, we're going to hear her. It's actually very short. This is shorter than 30 seconds. Very, very short. A couple, maybe because they knew the jokes were there, and so they didn't want to tip their hand. So here we go.
Oh my gosh, it's me, Joan goddamn Rivers, and who dragged me out of my fucking grave for this shit show? Michelle Visage. Michelle's massages suck more dick than Carson at a Richard convention. Oh my.
So they criticized that joke. It needed some polishing, but I don't think it was. I think you could have fixed that joke.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
The problem is, you know what? She's taking an old joke and it doesn't make any sense. There were more dicks than a Richard convention, but how do you suck more dicks than a Richard convention? Oh, you know what? It sucked more dick than a blank at a Richard convention.
Yeah, than a vacuum at a Richard convention.
Yeah, or a gay guy at a Richard convention or something like that. The analogy doesn't work. She sucked more dicks than a blank at a Richard convention. Yeah, a vacuum. Yeah, all right.
My goodness me. Jessica Wilde is such a slut, you gotta fuck her with her legs crossed.
See, I actually liked that joke. I thought that was kind of funny.
She's such a slut, you gotta fuck her with her legs crossed. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yes, because she's been fucked so many times her pussy's loose, so the only way she can make it tight is by her crossing her legs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that joke's not horrible. You get to think about it a little bit.
They killed the joke by having to explain it. But
yeah,
overall, I thought that was a funny joke.
Yeah. All right, now that's the only thing you have for the workshop. But I think, again, because I think most of the jokes were already there. So here we go. We're going to go into the set. By the way, for those of you listening, Robert asked me to tell you Joan Rivers was an iconic comedian who passed away about 10 years ago. And she was beloved by the gays just for being a total bitch and telling like it is. And she hosted, because, you know, Robert thinks that young people, young people don't like old things, you know?
Yeah, she also, I will say, and I don't know how you feel about this, because I mean, I don't know too much about fashion, but I feel like she really kind of cornered the market on just like trashing,
yes,
you know, like people like fashion and stuff like that. So because she had that Fashion Police show for a while.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Thank you so much for all being here tonight. Oh my God, I didn't realize I was coming back from the dead to go right to the zoo. Jesus Christ.
Okay, starts with a joke. I don't know if it's that super funny, but okay.
Yeah. Oh, Candy Muse, thank you. Living proof that hooked on phonics does not work for everybody. Oh my.
Solid joke.
That was fun. I think she should have done that one first, you know, because you always want to kind of comment on the person before you. Yeah.
And Candy was right before her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
God, she's trying though. You know, Candy Muse is such a bitch. You have to let her smell your goddamn hand before you get too close.
I mean, good joke.
She could have done what I think, and I don't know how you feel, but what I think she could have done the Candy Muse hooked on phonics joke. And then she could have done the zoo joke, and then she could have done a callback and done the Candy Muse. So, I mean, it would have been very soon after she had done that. So you could say like, oh, she already did one of Candy Muse, but I feel like it could have played a lot better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, here we go.
Oh, but speaking of hairy beasts, let's hear it from Miss Jessica Wilde, everybody.
So this is a weird one because does anybody know that Jessica's hairy? I mean, I don't know if that's a...
Yeah.
Jessica Wilde's pussy is so hairy every time she shaves it, PETA gets a complaint.
But here's the deal. Yeah, okay.
Why would PETA get a complaint?
But that's what I'm going to say is, if the joke is good, even if it's absurd and makes no sense, it works. And so in this case, the delivery, the visual works. So it's actually funny. You're right. Why would PETA get a complaint? But it somehow, in some sort of comedy soup, works.
You don't want people to think about it for too long.
Yeah.
It's true, and not only that, she is so full of shit, she makes RuPaul's diaper jealous.
Good joke. I mean, she's slinging them out, very fast, and they're good.
She is more full of shit than Alexis Michelle's mouth at Folsom Days.
See, I didn't even understand that joke, and I laughed.
There is, exactly. In San Francisco, I think it's in when is it? It's like in the fall-ish. They have a thing called Folsom Fair, and it's like a leather S&M. I don't know if it's leather S&M specifically, but it's a highly sexual. I could see you and Star going there and enjoying it, but people are just full on fucking in the streets and shit like that, nude and stuff. You and Star like that stuff.
Yeah. But seriously though, I'm no gynecologist, but I know a twat when I see one. Hello, Michelle Visage.
Good joke.
Here's one thing that I like about her set that I don't feel like anyone else really did was A, she has tags, right? She has at least two to three tags for every joke, and B, she seamlessly transitions into each joke. So they're not it's not a choppy transition. She moves you along based off the previous, she was talking about vaginal areas. She's talking about now she's going into twat, so it's still in the realm of what she was talking about previously. So,
all right, here we go.
Oh my goodness. Michelle, you remind me of my favorite director, John Waters. You both have a little mustache, a big dick, and you're friends with a nasty drag queen.
Yeah, every joke, she's hitting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of whores, hello, RuPaul. Oh my God, my dear old friend. RuPaul is so old. You know why that desk is so big? It's to hide her catheter and the little scooter she rides in on. She's old.
I mean, I don't think I would do a lot of this differently, if I'm being honest.
No. And also, I like how she, like you said, she's firing him through. This entire, the whole thing about Michelle Visage being like John Waters, if you gave that to Jessica Wilde or Alexis Michelle, that would be half of their set, is then listing this stuff. She does it in 5 seconds, and it's barely it moves through. On. Yeah. And that's what you want in a roast. You want to have it boom, 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 boom. You want it to be this tempo.
Breathe. Yeah.
Oh, for the woman of the evening, everybody, let's hear it for Ellen DeGeneres.
Good joke.
That was really good. Really good.
Oh my God, you look horrible, Ellen. Sucking on the end of a vacuum cleaner. What is wrong with that face? I'm just joking. I'm joking. Of course, we're here to honor Tilda Swinton.
See, then she takes it up a notch.
It's good. I also like how, and this is just, but if you go back a little bit, I felt like they kind of did a thing where they changed the audio to show how the audience is reacting, to show hey, even the audience and everyone is loving this, so I felt like they were even kind of benefiting her in that regard. So
grow up. But seriously though, Carson loves horses. His first pony was a little pony named Sparky, and they had so much in common. They both have a fucking horse face.
Good joke, but now this is where I say, I don't know why Melissa Rivers gets thrown under the bus.
Carson enters the room teeth first.
Okay, this is the moment I was talking about with the ears. He goes, Carson enters the room teeth first, and then does this really funny face.
Yeah, because the joke itself doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it works when you do the act out.
Yeah.
And I should know, my daughter Melissa has a horse face just like you.
See, this is the thing is I don't think they needed this joke. She could have, I would have moved something or something. I don't know.
When my daughter Melissa was bad, I didn't threaten her with boarding school. I threatened her with the goddamn glue factory. And that's where you're headed when RuPaul's done with you.
And it swallowed that joke. I didn't hear it the first time when that's where you're headed when RuPaul's done with it.
I want to thank everybody so much. This has been the roast of the Crypt Keeper, everybody. And I'm headed back to my crypt now. Thank you all so very much, and good night.
Now, so I gotta say something right here, and I'm just gonna be disappointing for a lot of people listening. You know, we have this show called Fat Camp that Lauri and I do, and we always are booking all these huge celebrities, and then we never get to the celebrity. We run out of time. And I think it's hit this show. Joan was gonna be on this episode, but honestly, Lauri, we are way over. I don't think we have time to bring Joan on. Maybe we'll have to bring her on for Rulaska Thoughts. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Joan will do her own little rundown.
Yeah, maybe. Fashion police kind of thing. All right, let's zip through the end. I'm going to say right now we're not going to talk about the looks. We're so over. Robert and I will talk about them on Rulaska Thoughts. On the main stage...
No, I wanted to talk about the... No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I was like, oh no. On the main stage, Jimbo's named the top all-star of the week with only 3 other girls left. The remaining queens are up for elimination. Later on the main stage, this week's lip sync assassin is revealed to be none other than Silky Nutmeg Ganache. The time has come for the two to lip sync for their legacies. The song, Freakazoid by Midnight Star. In the end, Jimbo surprised everyone and was named the winner of the lip sync. Next, she pulled out her lipstick, and revealed that she had chosen to send home Alexis Michelle. Lauri and K. Roggenkamp, any final thoughts on the episode? Any comments you had that you didn't get to say? Give it to us now.
So overall, I would say that this wasn't terrible. I thought that, and I think it was also the juxtaposition of how they did in the workroom versus how they did on stage, that I was genuinely surprised at how, overall, how good. Each queen I thought had a moment where I genuinely laughed. So I felt like overall this was really good. I'm glad Alexis Michelle is going home because I found her insufferable, and I really am glad that she's gone. But I think also this episode, in my opinion, and Star agrees with me, I feel like this solidified the fact that I firmly believe that Jimbo's going to win. So.
There's no way. It would be a travesty if she didn't. All right. Well, I think I've pretty much left everything out there on the table. The only real meat on this episode was the roast, and we had a lot to say. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 8. So, for Lauri and K. Roggenkamp and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also watch video versions of the show and more over at youtube.com/dragracerecap. This podcast was produced by Luke Stamen. Taylor the Latte Boy has another podcast. It's called Pod is My Co-Pilot, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Taylor on Instagram at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and TikTok at Joe Betance. Special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: Alex S., Anonymous, April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Carter McKinnon, Corinna Williamson, Doofus Maximus, E. Smith, Elizabeth Timmer, Emma, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Kathy Zender, Lauren Eckert, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Mike Yeager, Nikki Baker, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Robert NYC, Robin Eganberger, Runner Brandon, Sarah Yu, Tom Bombs, Travi Cosmos, Troy Anderson, Zach Nelson. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.